A civil war is brewing amongst the Democrats. Anderson Cooper, Charlamagne on CNN, now pointing fingers at each other, dropping swear words on cable news. Anderson Cooper, this is BS. Stop saying that about us. And then Charlamagne says, that's BS? How about it's BS for you? And so what's happening here is Kamala's failure is starting to really rub people the wrong way over there. And the fingers are starting to be pointed at one another. And the facade is cracking as they battle amongst themselves. And this is just one example of it. Here is the exchange between these two.
Conversations about it. I feel like I heard more on this network about is Kamala Harris black than I do about Donald Trump being a fascist. Am I wrong, Angela?
Honestly, that's bullshit. I'm sorry.
Ooh, I like that.
That's that. No, I'm not. Look, I'm a huge fan of yours.
Okay.
But to say that we're sitting around discussing is Kamala Harris black, like
I've seen that. I've seen those roundtable discussions a lot. Now that's bullshit, Anderson. For you to say that y'all don't have those conversations.
I've never asked somebody is.
Oh, I'm not saying you. I said the network.
He said the network.
I don't think anyone on. I don't think any anchor on this network has been going around saying, "Is she black?"
Definitely,
we have had. Look, I'm sure we have had nutty people or people who have strongly held beliefs who I may disagree with, who somewhere on some panel have said something, but I will just speak up for what I do on the show. I do believe it's important to get people different viewpoints as long as they're willing to have a legitimate conversation. What I don't like are surrogates who come out and just spout talking points that they don't even believe. And those are people I tried to eliminate from having ever on the air again.
I think no network has honest conversations about Donald Trump. Nobody's had honest conversations about Donald Trump since 2016. I saw last night they were talking about the double standard that exists between Donald Trump and the vice president. But it's always a double standard with Trump, whether it's with Hillary, whether it's against Biden, now with Kamala. We talk about him being a threat to democracy, but we don't treat him like one.
I don't know what that means. We don't treat him like one. He's been prosecuted 4 times, man. And they raided his house and made up a classified documents case with a fake prosecutor who is illegitimate, who never should have done anything that he did in that case or the J6 case at all. So they tried to kick him off a ballot. They impeached him for January 6th. We're not treating him like this. Of course they are. What else do you want to do? He got shot in the head, man. So I don't know what else they're looking for. But there is a little bit of an interesting point that he made, because remember this exchange with Dana Bash over on CNN, and Leaf Blower Guy loves this segment too. He's here to say hello. And so you can see here was one exchange where they were asking Kamala about being black. And this has turned into a real question. We've played clips here before of other individuals asking the same question who are much more qualified to ask the question than I am. And they're coming to different conclusions than Charlamagne is, that's for sure. So the conversation has been about Trump's comment. So Trump brought it up originally because it is a part of Kamala's story and Kamala's past. And when she was elected as senator, there are headlines out there that she was the first Indian American senator, and the list goes on and on. So it's in some domains a newfound discovery. So Trump brought it up. And then they asked her about it here.
What I want to ask you about is what he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah. Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it?
That's it.
Yikes. Okay. So it was a terrible answer from her. And this was supposed to be a sympathetic question. Okay. That's why Dana asked it. He's challenging a key part of your identity, Kamala. That should be for any person, especially if you are who you say you are. You should home run that out of the park all day, right? I know who I am, and this is my history, this is my record, this is I am. I'm authentic, I'm a real person, and I don't worry about little insults like that are recited. Instead, she's, oh crap. He's like, Trump says you're not black, Kamala. What do you think? She's like, next question. What? Just say, I know who I am. Clearly, I'm a black person. It's not even a question. What a ridiculous thing. Next question. Doesn't want to answer it. Charlamagne has a point. Like, they did ask her about it. And then this was her reaction to it. And then now it's offensive. Okay. So Dana brought it up to use it as like a launch pad so she could reaffirm her blackness, and then she failed it. So then Charlamagne is mad because she failed it. He's like, why are you guys bringing it up? They wanted, right? They're trying to create some energy in all these demographics where she's failing. And so they were using this issue. It's called identity politics. They've been doing this for generations. Now Charlamagne is suddenly, I can't believe they're doing identity politics. What are you talking about? This has been the shtick for generations. It's all about identity politics. CNN was trying to give her a layup and she couldn't even hit it.
I don't know what you've been watching, but I don't know of any Trump supporters out there or people who like him who are tuning in to me every night to try to get to be validated in their opinions. I don't know. I don't know. I disagree.
I don't think it's about validating. What you mean, validating the Trump?
Well, you're saying like that we're not, that I guess you're saying I'm not discussing all the things he is saying and doing and pointing it out and talking to what John Kelly.
Even Cooper's a bumbling mess right there. He's, I can't believe I offended Charlamagne. I can't believe I said that's BS and he called me BS, and you can see it's like rough times around the dinner table. Even Charlamagne and Katie Couric are getting into it a bit. So here's Katie Couric saying, I have to beg with you. I beg to differ. Okay. Kamala's a moron.
I think she said something in the beginning of our conversation when I brought up the fact that people say she's very scripted. People say she sticks to her talking points. She said, you're welcome. I call that discipline. And it made me think about something. I think that we've seen such a lack of discipline since Donald Trump came on the scene that we forgot what that looks like. So when you have a politician who is in an interview or in a conversation and they're being disciplined, as she says, and getting their message across and telling us what their policies are and detailing their policies, we want to be entertained. And that's not what I think we need from our politicians. So to say, do I think she was being authentic? Yeah, I think she was being authentically who she is, which is a very disciplined, seasoned, veteran politician.
No.
I have to beg to differ with you on that point. I think that she takes a really long time to get to her point.
Bumbling word salad.
She does rely on talking points too often. I think she's gotten much better than she used to, but it's almost as if she's afraid to say something that will later come back to haunt her.
Because she has no idea what she's saying.
I find the fact that she just doesn't really articulate to me her true policy position, and that she isn't really directly answering the questions a lot of times. That's been my experience and my experience watching her. I just wish she would say, this is our plan, or you're right. A lot of illegal immigrants have come into this country during the Biden administration, but this is why, and this is what I want to do about it moving forward. I don't find her explanation of policy that compelling compared to, say, someone like Bill Clinton or Barack Obama.
Even Hillary.
Have you ever interviewed them?
Even Hillary.
Yeah, I interviewed President Obama before.
Yeah, they're totally different caliber of people. In fact, I've got a clip of Hillary, and you can just compare and contrast them. Hillary, whacked out as she is, as we'll listen to, she's still someone who can articulate a policy position, and Kamala Harris cannot do that. So apparently, Katie Couric is now an extreme MAGA insurrectionist who doesn't recognize the historic time that we have here in America and is a misogynist as well. So Katie Couric was referencing other competent people, and I thought I had this clip from Hillary Clinton. She was out with Caitlin Collins and having a conversation with her, and I thought I had that. Here this is from Caitlin. They were talking about why Kamala is so bad, and Hillary Clinton is still so bitter about the James Comey and the fact that she deleted her classified documents and her emails that she was never entitled to have because she was not the president like Trump was. But she was out, and we'll play a little bit of this just so you can see, right? She's somebody who's about, I don't know, an order of magnitude more capable than Kamala Harris. They're probably upset they didn't run her this time. Here she is.
Trump does meet the definition of a fascist?
Caitlin, I do. And it's not only people like former Chief of Staff, Marine General John Kelly, who is telling us this and warning us. It's people who have really studied what fascism is and what fascist leadership looks like. People like Professor Timothy Snyder.
Okay, so she does the shtick, but at least she can deliver a talking point. And so here, let's listen to this exchange because they asked her about the election and what Kamala can do to not fail so badly.
Does it reach voters that Harris needs to reach right now? How do you see that?
I think that's a fair question, Caitlin, and I can't wholly answer it, but I think, number one, you have a duty when you're running for president. I tried to sound the alarm about him back in 2016, but it was really an uphill climb because people could not literally imagine that he posed a danger or that his character was so lacking when it came to the responsibility of being president. So I totally understand that. But now there's just too much evidence about what he wants to do, what he is saying he wants to do.
All right.
As well as we can before.
She's still undecided. And so I just wonder, given your position in 2016, at this point in that race, when you're looking at where we are 12 days out, polling averages in 2016 at this time had you on pace for a bigger win than President Obama 4 years before. And of course, you know better than anyone how those next 12 days went.
Yeah,
what do you think Vice President Harris needs to do, in your view, to avoid a repeat?
Here's Hillary.
First of all, I don't think she has Jim Comey in the wings waiting to kneecap her. So that's good. And I'm very grateful for that. But I think she is doing what she needs to do. And in reporting from today, I think by CNN, a number of the voters who were at your town hall have said she convinced them that.
And it's all James Comey's fault. Oh, poor Hillary. Man.
About their problems, that she'd come forward with her ideas, her suggested policies.
What? Okay,
So
anyways, my point is hilarious, right? She's still out there. James Comey did it to me. Oh, gosh, Hillary. You did the classified documents, okay? That was your problem. And you got a slap on the wrist. You should have been raided and indicted like Trump was, because you were never president. He was president. He had total power over those documents. They were his. But those documents were not yours to delete or to keep on a private server. And it's funny to watch her continue to just be so bitter and upset about this. But she, at least you can see, she can talk and is capable. Answer any question that Caitlin gives to her. She would have been a lot more competent and powerful candidate. I'd be a lot more nervous if Hillary Clinton was running against Trump right now than Kamala Harris. Anyways, good for our side. And she's just, gosh, it must really sting for her to never be the president. Now, JD Vance was out having some good times last night. He was here with Chris Cuomo on a town hall. Here's what he sounded like. Wait, here, let's quiet Hillary down. Hillary, where were you? All right, let's back to JD.
Rising tide of censorship. The idea that we should be trying to silence our fellow Americans rather than persuade them and talk to them. That's always going to...
Right, JD. Free speech, baby.
That's always going to lead to people being pissed off because they don't like to be told what to think or what to say. They like to talk to one another. And that's one thing that I'll always commit to. As your vice president for the next 4 years, I'll always try to talk to people. We'll go out there and we'll do events with people who disagree with us. We'll answer questions from people who don't always see eye to eye. But I think if we set the tone at the top, the leadership of this country is all about communicating with one another. I think that's how we start to heal the divide, but we all have a role in it. And one final point I'll say about this, and don't get too personal all the time, but one of the things I've seen, especially from some of my wife's friends and some of my friends, is that they disagree with us on politics sometimes. They'll get very personal about it. And if you're discarding a lifelong friendship because somebody votes for the other team, then you've made a terrible mistake and you should do something different. Don't cast aside.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Let's let him finish.
Most of my family obviously is going to vote for Donald Trump and JD Vance. And if they're not, actually, I need to talk to them. But
even he's
I've
walking
got
it back.
friends who like me personally, acquaintances who aren't necessarily going to vote for me. That doesn't make them bad people. And we can't, this is my most important advice, whether you vote for me, whether you vote for Donald Trump, whether you vote for Kamala Harris, don't cast aside family members and lifelong friendships. Politics is not worth it. And I think if we follow that principle, we'll heal the divide in this country.
Okay, so he walked that back a little bit. I'm glad I let him finish because he did walk it back a bit. Lifelong friends and family members, those are in a little bit of a different category. All right. But if you're going to have friends that are going to be nasty and miserable and demented, just get new friends. It's not that easy. I've gone through that cycle and it's well worth it. Trust me on that. Don't need to be sharing our real optimism, our productivity, our good values, our inspiration, our joy, our fun, our passion for life with other people who are takers, right? Givers should hang with the givers. Let the takers hang with the takers. They'll take themselves into the garbage and then hopefully wake up and understand there's a better way to live. But all right, so that's JD. I understand his perspective. Family members you want to try to salvage, long-term friendships you want to try to salvage. But otherwise, there are a lot of really amazing, good people who are aligned with our values and our insights and our way of living. And so I think personally, we should invest in those relationships rather than investing in other people's relationships or in relationships with others who are working against our goals. They can hang out with themselves and enjoy themselves. So President Trump called in when they were sitting there, apparently. I haven't seen this. Let's watch this together.
So, Senator, you're going to want to sit down for this one.
Oh, no.
Not unlike Beetlejuice. If you invoke the former president's names too many times in a row, he's going to want to weigh in on what is being said about him. And we have a call right now from former President Donald John Trump. He wants to weigh in.
What's up, Mr. President?
Mr. President, I know there's a little bit of a delay. Can you hear us? And what is your question for the senator?
I can hear you, Chris, and I do have a question, and I think it'll be quite an interesting one. The answer should be easy. How brilliant is Donald J. Trump?
Take your time. Think about it.
First of all, sir, this is supposed to be undecided voters. I would hope that I have your vote of all people. But first of all, sir, of course, you're very brilliant. And we both agree that it's important to have very smart people running our government. But here's the thing about President Trump that aside of you, sir, if you'll forgive me for telling this story that I think often people don't see. And of course, I got my beautiful wife here in the front row. And one of my favorite moments with President Trump is we were hosting an event for him near our home in Cincinnati a few months ago. And of course, my wife was a little bit nervous to really, talk to the president of the United States. And he asked her, what do you think about your husband being in public service? And she gives, if you know my wife, a very diplomatic answer. Sir, he really cares about the people of Ohio. He's thrilled to be able to serve them, and I'm happy to support him however I can. And President Trump chuckles and goes, yeah, my wife hates it too. And the thing that it did is it just immediately broke the barrier. And it wasn't the former president. It was just a person talking to my wife. And I think you guys were able to have a nice conversation. But that ability to relate to anybody in any environment, I think that's the true brilliance of Donald J. Trump.
Nice answer. Way to tie it home. Okay. Way to tie it home. That's a good answer. So he's clever, man. He's clever. And I think he's going to mature nicely after this victory soon. Here was another exchange here from this fella.
I'm a fourth generation farmer. In fact, we sell our produce right across the street here at the Eastern Market. How will your administration, after seeing what we went through after COVID and the important respect to domestic food production, help the American farmer to survive the increasing inflationary costs of doing business in global competition?
Yeah, well, thanks for the question, Robert. And one thing you probably know, Robert, because you're a farmer, but a lot of people don't realize, and this is maybe the scariest statistic of the last few years, is that America just last year became a net importer of food. What that means is that we grow less food than our people consume, which makes us reliant on other people for the very food that we feed our children. I think that's very dangerous. And part of the reason is because we've made it so hard on our farmers. Now, when I talk to farmers in Ohio, I represent the state of Ohio. Don't hold it against me, Michigan. But I talk to a lot of farmers in the state of Ohio because we've got a lot of them. I know Michigan has a lot of farmers too. And one of the things that I hear is that between natural gas prices, because natural gas is a big part of the fertilizer that farmers use, between diesel costs, between gasoline costs, the cost of energy has made it really hard for our farmers to actually do what they do and grow the food that we need. So we got to bring down energy costs to make it more affordable for farmers to do what they do. The other thing is that we got to make sure that foreign competitors aren't flooding our markets with cheap agricultural
Yes.
products.
Utilizing slave labor
that destroy the wages and the livelihoods of farmers. But again, it makes us more reliant on countries that ultimately don't like us. This is something we got to be very worried about. What we learned, you mentioned this, I think, Chris, during COVID, is that we became so dependent on foreign countries for the supply chains, right? We couldn't get like hospital masks and hospital gowns in the midst of a pandemic because China made a lot of that stuff. If we're worried about manufactured goods, how much worse is it to rely on other countries for the very food that we provide to our families? We've got to go in the other direction and cut down on agricultural dumping. One of the ways you do this, and this is a big difference between President Trump and Kamala Harris, is Kamala Harris has really criticized the idea of using tariffs. President Trump has said, rightfully in my view, obviously I'm a little biased, but that unless you're willing to use tariffs to go after countries that are manipulating our own markets, whether it's food, energy, or manufactured goods, you're going to be giving up on American productive workers. We can't do that. We've got to protect our farms, protect our manufacturers, make more of our own stuff, grow more of our own food. And that's fundamentally the President Trump approach to these things.
Well done, man. Solid. So that's how you deliver a nice policy in 3 bullet points. And JD Vance, of course, articulating that very nicely. You heard him talk about using tariffs in lieu of other economic controls. The New York Times was saying Trump is flirting with the ultimate tax cut. No income taxes at all. We would just use tariffs. Oh, could you imagine? It's like a dream come true. The former president has repeatedly praised a period in American history where there was no income tax. For the first huge portion of our history until the early 1900s, the country relied on tariffs to fund the government and to bolster our own manufacturing and our own industry. And then they decided we can also have an income tax and then obliterate our population for the next 100 years. Ron Paul says, now this would really make America great again. And of course, that is true. So we're excited to have Trump back. Trump was also out on the campaign trails. But before we take a look at Trump, let's take a look at what our vigorous president is doing. Look how vigorous he is. He's running all over the place there at the White House right after he got done on the swing set. After nap time, he went over there and wrote down that slide. Now he's going to go talk to the press. Here he is. Run on over, Joe. Come on. Come faster. Come on, Joe. Come on. Come talk to us.
I'm petty on something that should have been done a long time ago. Make a formal apology to the Indian nations for the way we treated their children for so many years. That's why I'm going. That's why I'm heading west. Thank you.
Great job, Joe. Hey, get running again. See ya. So that's what he's doing. He's going to go apologize to the Native Americans for what we did to them. And it was not good what we did to them at all. But at least Joe's going to rectify it. I'm sure they'll be very pleased about that. All those wrongs will be righted thanks to Joe. All right. So here was Trump. Trump was out and there were some fun exchanges there. He was also talking with Bill Melugin, but here he was. He got asked about the Hitler story. Never.
It's a rag that he made up stories. He's done it before. It's a failing magazine. Right before the election, it's a failing magazine.
All right, failing magazine from Trump. And he also heard this clip from Kamala. This was just hysterical. I was laughing my butt off on this one. Here is Bill Melugin asking Trump about Kamala. Remember, Kamala had the town hall and she said she did a great job on the border and they wouldn't change anything. Everything she's done is fine. Joe Biden's policy was fine. They still want to secure it, but they did nothing wrong. Trump got asked about that. Here's his reaction.
She said during that town hall, she believes they've handled the border correctly. CNN pressed her on it. Would you have done anything different? Do you regret anything? And she said, quote, I think we did the right thing.
Wait a minute, that she's handled it correctly?
Correct.
She said that?
She said that. She said, quote, I think we did the right thing.
We allowed 21 million people in. We allowed 13,099 murderers. We allowed mental institutions from all over the world. If she said that, look, she's a grossly incompetent person. And if she said that, they had the worst border in history.
Okay, so the best part of that is the pause. Okay, I'll play it again. Just the pause. She said that? What? She did?
She said during that town hall, she believes they've handled the border correctly. CNN pressed her on it. Would you have done anything different? Do you regret anything? And she said, quote, I think we did the right thing.
Now, wait a minute. That she's handled it correctly?
Correct.
She said that?
She said that. She said, quote, I think we did the right thing.
We allowed 21 million people in. We allowed 13,099 murderers. We allowed.
Take it. I just can't take it. That look. What? She said that?
She said that?
She said that.
She said that. Even he can't believe it. She's so ridiculous.
She said, quote, I think we did the
I
right.
can't believe she said that. I know, man. Mr. President, we can't believe it either, man. We can't believe it. Oh, I can't believe it either. All right. So thank you, Mr. President, for just expressing what we're all feeling. Oh my gosh. Kamala Harris. Amazing. Border is incredible. Great job, Kamala. All right.